Hey y'all, what's up?
Hey guys, sorry, I was checking my phone. My bad.
It's all good. As y'all see, the newly minted Morgan Bedard is back.
Your eyes are not deceiving
Congratulations.
you. I am here. I know I have been absent for quite some time. I'm so glad to be back for as long as I can be while I'm here for a week. And then, of course, I'm working the Olympics. So I will be hopefully can do the pods the next couple weeks. But there might be times where I just get way too busy. But I'm so glad to be back. Wedding was perfect. Honeymoon was amazing. Now back to reality. We're gonna talk some sports. There's not a ton happening, honestly. So we'll go as long or as quick as we do. Um, but remember to give us a follow at M India Miller or Kylan at Kylan W Watson. Legally, I will be changing my last name, but professionally, my name will stay Morgan Miller on air and things like that. But Kylan, how are you? How was we talked a little bit off air, but tell the people what you've been up to this week.
Oh man, so the week has been crazy. So last Saturday, obviously, with all that uh craziness with Trump possibly getting assassinated, we are so happy. Whether you agree with him or not, that he survived. I don't think anybody actually wants him shot.
No,
So
no.
we're happy that he survived that. Um, but outside of that, while that was going on, I was in City Hall in Philadelphia and doing a mystery dinner. And I do so well. I play a villain there. I was the villain, so so
Oh,
who done it was me. So you saw that Instagram story and you were kind of confused, on my Instagram because some of y'all were. Some people reached out and said, "Did you get into Drexel because of the shot? Because City Hall in Philadelphia is old.
that's
It looks like Drexel University at some parts of the building. No, no, no. That was just an answer to I did it, or my character did it, not me actually. So other than that, it's been good. I've been working. Just did an article for the Philly Tribune, so definitely check that one out. I believe that yesterday when I was doing this, I might have been too tired to put the links into everything, but but Google my name, so that's completely my fault. So yeah, Google my name, Philly Tribune did an article. They just had a beer summit. Unfortunately, I did not partake just because I was working. As Morgan knows, sometimes you get to these fun events and you can't partake because you are working, and we have to stay sober when we're reporting on stuff. So, I got to talk to for some of you that are big MSNBC fans. Eddie Glad, or Dr. Eddie Glad Jr., Princeton professor and MSNBC contributor. He was here at Independence Mall for the 60th annual beer summit, so I got to cover that. Obviously, been covering a lot of Sixers happenings with the power forwards and everything. It's been crazy. Morgan left and free agency started, and y'all know I've been basketballing y'all out. So Morgan's back, so there is some football this week. Um, because like she said, we'll be doing the Olympics and the training camp stuff will get lost in the shuffle. So we're going to try and give y'all a little quick training camp preview. As you all know, if you paid attention last week, next week is my birthday. So we have
woo.
we will be we'll probably be doing something earlier in the week because there'll be a lot of stuff going on with Deadpool coming out. Morgan, all of us paying attention to the Olympics, and all of you college football fans getting rid of your life to play college football. So
Yes.
to play the video game, as Morgan knows from Dan and I, we're definitely doing that sometime in these next few weeks. Maybe we can get a game going. Syracuse versus Connecticut on
Hey,
25.
maybe.
Maybe we can get a broadcast going. I'm throwing down
He
the guy.
probably plays JMU though, I think.
Okay, well, whatever. All right, well, JMU, Syracuse. Maybe we'll get a preview of a bowl game soon. So, like, you
That
never
would be
know.
very fun.
You never know. So maybe we can make that happen. But yeah. So everything's been going good for us. I want to thank everyone who tuned in and participated. We had Trey here, Javon and Matt. It's good to have friends and rosters at high places for when either one of us are out doing other things that can happen. So we thank you all for the support, and we look forward to continuing to do good shows for y'all. So,
Yeah.
more, you want to take this first stop, or you want
Yeah,
to take
let's go for it. Let's go for it. So the WNBA has a $2.2 billion broadcast deal between ESPN, Amazon, and NBC. Obviously, this is the biggest deal for a female sport in history. It's the biggest, hey, RC, it's the biggest deal coming for the WNBA. It's incredible. It is well deserved. And I think that what the WNBA is doing right now is really smart. Get these long-term deals in. You know, I know a lot of people say like get your short-term deals so you can restructure it later. We don't know what the WNBA is going to look like in 5 years. And you're right. Maybe some of you are saying, well, Morgan, like it might just continue to get more popular. I hope that it does, but maybe it doesn't. So capitalize now is always good. Get your players paid. We're starting off on a great track. We're boosting it up. We're getting private jets. Let's get these salaries higher. Let's get the rookie minimum up. I think it's a great thing all around. I think that it's awesome for these news conglomerates. I'm obviously super excited that NBC has received partially part of this. I keep talking about how there's a ton of great people at NBC, and I feel like every podcast I come on, we are getting more and more live broadcasts, and that's amazing. I'm excited. I think it's going to be fantastic, and I'm so happy for everybody involved.
Yeah, I'm of the same mindset. I'm very, very happy for the WNBA and all the players. $2.2 billion is a lot of money. And as we talked about off air, seems like ESPN and NBC went double. I feel like we don't know because obviously neither one of us, we have no sourcing on this. We don't do the legal end of this, but it seems like this is being very much held up by obviously Amazon has money, but by the Disney and NBC of it all, because we know that Amazon put $1.9 billion on the NBA deal, but somehow it amounted to $76 billion. So that leads us all to believe, just by process of inference, that Disney and Comcast, the parent companies of ESPN and NBC, put a lot of money up to amount this to $76 billion. And then we didn't even know about the $2.2 billion. So I mean, if you count all that, that's $78.2 billion. So dang near $80 billion. Just for basketball for all three of these companies, right? So, that's a lot of money. And I'm so happy for the women's players in particular. And I mean, we can get to this now because we do have a question about what this means for the players' salaries. And I just think that I'm so happy for these women. Obviously, they're going to get this influx of talent. Morgan, like we said, we don't know, but I mean, you got Paige Becker's coming in. She'll probably end up either in Chicago, or I know Morgan's dream is to see her in DC. You've got Juju Watkins coming in another 2 to 3 years. Ozzy Fudd. It's going to be good for the women to come in. Flaugier will probably be the first person who puts a bucket on you and then does a concert on your home floor right after the game. So
you see the concert that she did at the WNBA All-Star Weekend?
I did not, but I heard
it was like a concert, but she took the mic and was doing on I don't even know what it was. It was in the middle of everybody. She's just rapping and doing her Flaugier thing, which is awesome.
Now was that the video where Asia was her hype woman? Was
that one? Yes.
Okay, yes. I did see that where Asia was the hype woman, but it was only a short, so it lacked context, and so I was I don't know what this is, but I like it.
Yeah, you're they're having fun. It's good stuff.
Yeah. I'm very, I think it'll be very good for the women, obviously, especially the older women. I don't want to say older women, but the veteran players, and obviously with expansion coming up with Golden State and everything. See, I thought you were talking about the concert that she did at the ESPYs last week.
No.
Sierra, and then they kind of had her clothes. I was like, oh, you got that in Indonesia, huh?
No. I would have loved to see that though. I agree with you. I like Flaugier's music. I don't think it's bad. I think it's kind of fun.
I mean, from what I heard and from what I understand, I mean, for those of you that don't know, she's Little Boosie, from Wipe Me Down fame. For those of you that are rapper fans, and those of you that look at her face and be like, "Where have I seen that face before?" That's where she's Boosie's niece. So that is where from of Wipe Me Down fame. So that's where I guess you could say the talent comes from, being able to spit. And I know some of y'all are like, well, Boosie's kind of problematic. Yes, he's kind of problematic for other reasons within that family drama, nothing related to Flaugier, but that's more of family drama within the family that has nothing to do with her. But I know some of y'all might know him for another reason other than his ability to rap, because he puts out some videos that are problematic if you're a member of the LGBTQI community. So it's kind of problematic, but I like Flaugier. I think she's good, and I think she's gonna be probably the first cross in a while, the first crossover, the new generation of crossover WNBA player. I think she will be one of the first. Um, unless Sabrina or Caitlyn can sing, that's the only way she's gonna get beat out.
I mean, who knows? Paige might model. Paige has gotten really into fashion, so
okay.
maybe.
I wouldn't be surprised. RC with the jokes.
Yeah, no, it's not for everyone. I like her. Again, her music I think is good, but I agree with you that not everyone has those skills.
Yeah. So what does this new deal, Morgan kind of alluded to, it mean for the player salaries? I think it means this is going up. It's going up, man. Scrooge McDuck mean people gonna be swimming in money, man. I'm really excited. Obviously, Asia Wilson, I think she'll benefit. Morgan's girl, Nafisa Collier, and all the other stars who have been making money, but obviously weren't in college during the NIL time. I think Asia Wilson was like there for the later half of it, right? Because she was there for 4 years, so she kind of got the tail end of NIL, but she didn't get like the full, like, those that don't know, this draft that just happened with Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark were like the full like effects of these women coming in that were already richer than some of their counterparts that are in the WNBA already, just because they got all that money from the NIL deals, right? And we know Caitlyn made a lot of money, and so did Angel Reese. But now, this upcoming year, you'll have Paige Beckers, who we know made a lot of money, being up there in Stores, Connecticut. So like we know that this is why you see all the Gucci, the Pradas. It looked like a model walk during the draft, right? So like this is I think it means that Asia and them will start getting, and everybody will start getting getting their worth. And I just think this means, like, instead of $500,000 per year, we'll start seeing $1 million deals, and millions of dollars a year instead of 500,000 for 6 years like we've been seeing. So, which is still a lot of money. Don't get us wrong, but obviously it's not their market value. So I think this means they're going to be doing this and looking like that Scrooge. I'm about to turn another year older, so this might sound old, but like that Scrooge McDuck, from DuckTales, swimming in money, spitting out the coins, that one. So expect that from a lot of these players. Morgan, you got anything to add?
Nope. I didn't say Paige is going to start rapping. I said she might model. I said she might like walk the runway, which I would love. But no, I agree.
You don't want to see Paige rapping the UConn alma mater song? I would love to see that.
Couldn't even tell you what that was.
I would love to. I don't even know what it is, but I would love to see it.
It probably would be a great video.
I didn't go to UConn, so I don't need to know what their alma mater is and their fight.
Me either. Fair enough.
But I would love to see it. So moving right along, Caitlin Clark gets 19 assists, but the Fever fall to one of my favorite teams, and I know Morgan's as well, because there's a UConn alum on it, Nafisa Collier. But unfortunately, they fell to the. No, I think it wasn't the Lakes. It was it was Dallas. So I gotta change that. But to Dallas anyway. We love Iri K and Gumi K too. So like we love them. So but yeah, like one of my personal favorites. So what's your reaction to this, Morgan? 19 assists, which by the way, first time a WNBA rookie has done that. So the most assists for a WNBA player in one night. So I will let you go.
I think this just kind of goes right into our next question, to be honest with you. I just think that this is setting Caitlin Clark up as one of the rookies of the year. I mean, what's hard is you're losing with 19 assists. Does that mean that you should have taken those shots yourself? That's kind of, I think, the only knock you can say, I guess, is that star players are meant to be star players, and if your teammates aren't getting it done, then sometimes you have to take that into your own hands. So that there's a double-edged sword here, and I don't know what was going through Caitlin's head. I know that Caitlin is an amazing teammate, and you can tell that she wants to get her teammates the ball. But when they aren't performing and aren't capitalizing, and you're force feeding it to them, and obviously 19 assists means that they scored on those assists. So but there were, I'm sure, more attempts there. I would love to see what her pass. I don't even know what that stat would be. But at what point, when you're down however many points, do you not just stop trying to reach a record, and do you just take the ball into your own hands to try and win the game? And I don't know the right answer. But I think that basketball is one of those few sports where one person really can take over the game and change it. You can't really do that in football. You can't really do that in hockey, but baseball, you definitely can't. Basketball is one of those sports where there are 5 people on the court. If you go beast mode, you go God mode, you can take over a game and win. And I want to see if Caitlin has that ability to do that. We saw her do that on Iowa a ton, and I just haven't really necessarily seen her do it a whole bunch in the W.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm of the mindset, first off, Erica Agumbawale. I mean, this is what happens, when I keep telling people this. I like the fever. I like the whole thing that they got going on with, Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, Nylyssa Smith, and they also have an all-star there too with Kelsey Mitchell. Like they have a big four, right? A growing big four, right? But this is what happens when you face the upper echelon, when you face a real, I don't want to say a real team, but a team that's a contender, right? Like I don't think most people
deep team.
Yeah, I don't think most people consider the Wings like in the upper echelon yet. But when you have a Erica Agumbawale, like, and she's the leading scorer of the league, that's 30 points a night right there. So you're going to lose to somebody who, for lack of a better term, you have nobody who can stop them. And that's Eric. I honestly think Erica Agumbawale, she's a great player. I think that more people would know who she is if she was not playing for Dallas, and that's no knock on her. I think the Dallas Wings are a great up-and-coming team. They got, Maddie Seeger from Villanova. Like it's a rising team, but I just think that, sometimes it wouldn't be the first time somebody's talents is wasted by being on a Dallas team, So, like, I just think that, this is a great accomplishment for Caitlin Clark. It's kind of like what happened to Angel Reese, right? Like you have the records, you're showing that you're one of the best up and coming players in the league on a bad team. Like that's just what it is. And even though obviously the Fever are doing a little better than the Sky right now. Like these are teams that had multiple top round picks in the draft last year, and will have multiple top draft picks next year for a reason. They suck. Like, even though they have really good players, like it's only a matter of time, right? And you can only do, like you said, but so much. Obviously, like she really can't take over a game because she has to like spread the ball out, make sure Leah Boss is getting fed. And that's really been what is happening, right? She's starting to spread the ball out. Obviously, Caitlin still leads the league in turnovers. People have had fun of her expense at that, but that's going to happen when you are basically a walking highlight reel, right? Like that's what happens. And unfortunately for Caitlin Clark, she ran into the buzz. Her and the Fever ran into the buzzsaw that is the Dallas Wings and Erica Agumbawale, and that's why it is a shame that she is an all-star and somebody who drops 30 a night, but not on the U.S. Olympic team. So, that is a just one of those things that we talked about. Enrique, everybody knows that I am a fan of her. I think Morgan's a fan of her as well. But Caitlin Clark got her 19 assists. It's kind of like what happened last weekend with Angel Reese, right? You can do all you can, but at certain points, like it's a team game, and when your team isn't good, this is what happens. So, congrats to Caitlin Clark on that. But like Morgan said, we can dive into the next question. Who do we think is in the driver's seat for Rookie of the Year between Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark, Allison Pillay? Obviously Cameron Brink would be here, but she got injured. So, Morgan, you want to start for this one?
If it's fair or not, and I don't know if it is, I don't think there is any question that it's between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. It's going to be one of those two. It just is. I would be shocked if it was not one of those two for just so many reasons. And I don't know if that's right. Or, it's when it comes to Caitlin, it's hard. Like you said, she's a great player on a bad team, but she still is. She's it. And I'm going to get hate for this. I don't know if I've seen a giant improvement since college. I think she's making the same mistakes she made in college. She's still having those turnovers. I think she's playing the same. And that's not a bad thing because she was an unbelievable college player. But I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's coachability. I don't know if it's starstruckness by, I don't know. There's no doubt but and then you flip it and say there's no doubt in this world that Caitlin Clark has changed the game of women's basketball forever for the better. There's more eyes on it. I guess you could say that's for better or for worse. There's more eyes on it. There's more people talking about it. And I think that should go into her winning Rookie of the Year. I think that regardless of, and this was hard. I don't know. Between her and Angel Reese has been playing amazing. And so has Caitlin Clark. And I think that all things being equal, it should go to Caitlin. And you guys know that Caitlin is like, I'm Paige Becker is all the way. Like, I like Caitlin, but I have a lot of issues with her sometimes too. She has changed the game of basketball, and she has done more for the game of basketball as a rookie, regardless of if she meant to or not, than I think almost any other player has. Almost any other player. And so I think with all things being equal, it probably will go to Caitlin. But who knows? They don't always listen to the fans because they didn't put her on the Olympic team, which I think was the right move. I think that it's probably going to be Caitlin. And I don't think you're going to get many arguments that it was for it being Caitlin. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But
go ahead, finish your thought.
No, I think that I'm good.
All right, so for me, I think we have a little bit of disagreement here because I think Caitlin Clark is a great player, but I just think that the most of the season has been dominated, especially the last few weeks and months, have been dominated by Angel Reese and her double streak. And
I completely agree with that. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
Yeah, and I think that Angel, I think obviously that we have a lot more season to go, so we'll see. And I think that, what's going to determine this is like which team I think has a better record. That's generally what determines these awards. So I definitely think that I think you can't go wrong with either one of those players. I think it should be Angel Reese just because I think at this point, right, I think she's had the bigger impact on her team so far. I think that, and obviously she was holding up the team while Camila Cardoso was recovering from her injury. She was holding up the team, and we'll get to this in a minute. It seems like with Marina Mabry, like trying to get out of the team, like she really was. Angel Reese was that whole team for a little bit, and obviously, like she kept it somewhat afloat. I mean, they're both two bad teams, but obviously, like I just think Angel Reese deserves it a little bit more than Caitlin Clark as of right now. But obviously, we have a whole season to go. And more than likely, one is going to be a combination of those two as 1 and 2. It's just a matter of who do you believe has had more of an impact. And ultimately, like you said, was probably going to determine it. Or basically, like we both said, in basketball, what determines this is who has the better record and who makes the bigger impact. And so I think like so far early in the season, it was Angel Reese. Now later in the season, we will see. They're both still neck and neck. It's going to be one of them, and whichever one of them doesn't win will have a lot of fuel on the fire next season. More than likely, I will submit that it will probably be Caitlin Clark, but I think that Angel Reese has made the bigger impact so far, and I know that's blasphemy for a lot of y'all because some of y'all are looking at it as look, she's selling out stadiums, but I'm not. I'm talking strictly basketball, right? I think that Angel Reese was dominating with that double streak. I think Angel Reese, as Morgan just admitted, I think most of her fans will admit, right? Like, and obviously this is the case of like you go from women's college basketball to the draft, and then you start playing in May. So some of that is that, but like as Morgan said, there's really been like no obviously she's played better, she's lasted longer, she has great stamina, but it seems kind of like, and RC kind of pointed this out, that like Caitlin Clark's game has been sabotaged not by her teammate but by the coach. And I think that Christy Sykes needs to be fired, but I think that because they have a better record now, she won't be fired now. But I think that Caitlin Clark's growth has kind of been sabotaged by her coach wanting her to be something she's not. She wants her to be a pure point guard, and that's not Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark is kind of like a Luka Doncic, a highlight reel. But obviously, she's a lot better of a passer, gets more like assists than Luka. And I know that's blasphemy because a lot of y'all like, but Luka has all these 25 assist games. Yeah, those are empty assists. Former basketball players know exactly what I'm talking about when I say empty assists. So like, I am of the mindset that it should be Angel Reese, but I will admit that it will probably be Caitlin Clark. But I think it's very close, and I think that whichever one of these teams has the better record will determine who wins that award.
Yeah.
So moving right along, we talked about her, Marina Mabry. First off, I mean, shouts out to the WNBA for dominating this A block. Marina Mabry got traded to your Connecticut Sun. They needed a point guard. They got one. So what's your reaction to this, Morgan? I know you've been in Bali, so I don't know how much you've kept up with this.
Yeah, I haven't really been able to keep up a ton, but I have seen a ton of posts of Connecticut Sun fans that are very, 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 very excited about having her. And I think that's kind of all you need. I think that, a lot of times fans are upset with trades or whatever. They're like, but I really haven't seen a single person that's upset about this. Everybody seems to be just over the moon. So I think that's a good sign. And I think that she's excited to be here. I think they're excited to have her. So I think it's going to be a great pair, a great match.
Yeah, I know a lot of people, at least it seems like the people who were upset about this were Chicago Sun fans who
Yes.
seemed like they had no idea about this drama. But I thought that there was something a little bit off about that team for a while now. Like that there was some vibe stuff going on there. And I thought it was just because of inserting Angel Reese and Camila Cardoso into a team, knowing that those are the two stars and future twin towers of Chicago. But it seems like this is what it was with Marina Mabry wanting a trade and being quiet about it, I guess, within the team. And RC kind of agrees. Mabry needed to go. Wish her the best. She's too streaky of a shooter for me. And Wolves under pressure late. Well, she'll have a lot of pressure in Connecticut. But for the Sun, this was kind of a win-win, right? Because like they needed a point guard. Like, unfortunately for them, they don't have any pure point guards. It has no knock on their current point guard, but they really don't have a pure point guard right now. And when you're going up against the New York Liberty, you kind of need that. You got to need somebody who can handle the ball. and pass the ball and create those like open shots, and we know Marina can do that. As RC just so eloquently pointed out, she is a streaky shooter. But the Connecticut Sun have a lot of really really good shooters. So all she really needs to do is pass the ball and put them in good position to do what they need to do. I mean, and so they have a really good team. Obviously, unfortunately for them, they've lost the Battle of New York. I know Connecticut's in Connecticut, but Morgan knows what I'm talking about. They lost the Battle of New York twice. Now. So they're kind of in the hole, but I mean, this is a team getting better. And on the Sun side, I guess this means that Kennedy Carter can come into the starting lineup now as the point guard. And, they probably need a point guard now. They need a point guard that might be the best point guard available. Wouldn't that be nice? I know this might kill Morgan's dream of getting Elena Deladon and Paige Beckers together in Washington, but wouldn't that be interesting? Paige, Angel Reese, and Camila Cardoso. Would that be Lob City in Chicago? Maybe. What
Not
would
happening. She's coming to DC. Okay.
that?
You tell her
Wouldn't
her
that
name is on the back of another jersey. I believe she's coming to DC.
I fully understand, but wouldn't that be great? But anyway, I think that this is a great move, and this gives Marina a chance to be on a contender. We'll see if, like RC said, she wilts under pressure or not. But I think that the Connecticut Sun have gotten better. Does that make them better than the Liberty? Probably not. But because it's blasphemy for me to be like Marina Mabry is better than Sabrina Ionescu. But we'll see. They still have more matchups in the playoffs to come. But moving right along, what does this trade say about the Sky? I think it says that Angel Reese was holding up a lot of things there, and despite the fact that they've only won like 8 or 9 games or 10 games so far, this season, that there was a lot going on there. But now the Sky get to see what they have. Is Kennedy Carter like somebody who you can build around Camila Cardoso and Angel Reese, or do you need to consider going after a Paige Beckers or whichever other guards will be available, right? Do you need to think about, hey, maybe we can see if Ozzy wants to come out early? Like, do we need to look at other guard pairs because we don't have a point guard and we need somebody to get Angel and Camilla the ball. So I think this is a good thing for the Sky because, when you're a bad team, everybody gets a chance. I think that you need to see what you have around Camilla and Angel Reese, and I think this is great. I think that they have a player in Kennedy Carter, so I think that they have a big three, and they just need to figure out if they need a point guard or not. So I think this says that the Sky. It says what we already knew about the Sky. And to, like I said, we just talked about the Fever too. It says they're a team that sucks right now, but is building up talent, and they have two foundational players in Camilla and Angel Reese, and they need to figure out what they need around them. Is Kennedy Carter that girl? Is she her? And can she be her next to Angel Reese and Camilla Cardoso? Or do they need to bring in a Paige Beckers, a Juju Watkins, or somebody else? Do they need to start looking at, all right, so we got Paige this year. We're going to have Juju in 2 years. Do they need to start putting themselves in position like people are doing already in the NBA to get, to capture the flag, as I termed last week? You like that? Capture the flag more? To capture the flag, like as we're seeing in the NBA, or as I know WNBA fans are calling it, the MNBA. Doesn't really bother me, but I know it bothers some people. The NBA, like as we're seeing, do the Sky just need to be like, all right, we got Kennedy, Angel, and Camilla, and we'll suck for a top 3 pick to see what we can get as far as who's coming out of the point guard? They just need to keep playing. I think they need to keep playing. I think this says that they need to figure out, do they need a point guard or a shooting guard next to Camilla and Angel Reese, or do they have one on their roster? And if they don't, then they need to draft one.
I agree.
Yeah. All right, then. So moving right along. Well, let's hold on. I think RC got a comment. Shows this team will be built around Reese, Cardoso, and likely Kennedy. Anyone else has to buy in, fit in, or get out of Dodge. It's a changing team with a core in place. I've been hearing back from fans because they're saying the Sky Team is becoming too African. Oh Lord Jesus. Oh Lord. Oh man, no. Oh man. Yes, she did request a trade. I think I brought that up, but if I didn't, she did request a trade low key. And I mean that's the WNBA, right? You can request a trade and it fly under the radar until you get traded. But like I said, I think there was vibes off with this team, and we see why now. But RC brought it up. But in more positive WNBA news, and to wrap up, I believe this segment. Is this the wrap up? Oh no, we got three more. But Alicia Ware wins the skills challenge in the 3-point contest, becoming the first WNBA player to do that during All Star Weekend. She won $110,000. Uh, so what do y'all what do you think about this? What's your reaction to this, Morgan?
I don't know. I mean, I don't really have a reaction. I just think it's awesome. Like, good for her. It gets a lot of money and it's a big accomplishment, and I'm happy for her. I don't really have much of another opinion besides that. What do you think?
Yeah, I think this is great for her. I think that it's great. It's great for the dream to have a player like her and to be able to show that they have players all over the place, and it's a great time for her. But I think that this All Star Weekend, unfortunately, even though she won, is going to be known for who didn't participate. Um, I'm sorry, Alicia Gray. We're just making mistakes all over here. Alicia Gray, not Alicia Ware. I will fix that. Alicia Gray. But I think this is going to be known for who didn't participate. Unfortunately. But congrats to Alicia Gray, and moving right along because I kind of teased this. What do you think of Sabrina Ionescu and Caitlin Clark not doing the 3-point contest? I can start here. So I think for Sabrina, this makes sense because the Olympics are next week. Yeah, so that kind of makes sense for her. Obviously because um, what's more important is her being healthy for the Olympics. But Caitlin Clark, unless she's tired or injured, I don't think it made sense for her not to be in the 3-point contest. I honestly think that I guess for her it probably made sense because she's tired and she wants to actually enjoy All Star Weekend. But I think that she missed an opportunity to prove her 3-point supremacy, and to prove that she's one of the great players right now.
I
Um,
just don't. I don't understand it. I like the fans voted you so highly. Blah 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 blah. Like, this is the stuff about Caitlin Clark that I don't understand. Like I don't even almost have words for it. It's like, that's your thing. Shooting threes is your thing, right? Like, that's, you shoot threes better than anybody else. Why on earth would you not shoot threes in the All-Star game where there's already controversy? Seal yourself as the projected rookie of the year. Like, I don't know. I was disappointed when I saw that, and maybe I'll be eating crow when it comes out that she was injured or something. I don't know, but she has a full she has all this time to chill. She's not going to the Olympics, so why? I don't know. I agree that she has her whole life to do it, but in a year where there's so much controversy, why would you not just go and try and prove everybody wrong? That's just my thought on it, and that would be how my brain would work. I would want to shut up the haters. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really understand why she didn't. I don't really have a lot of words for it.
Yeah, I mean that's why I said I understand why Sabrina didn't. Obviously, she gets
she's load managing for the Olympics.
Yeah. Right. So Caitlin Clark, on the other hand, I don't understand it. But I guess it was like she said, she's done a lot. She's got the All-Star game the next day. Maybe she didn't want to push herself that hard. But RC has another thing. He's talking about that it might be like a dunk contest thing with the NBA players, how they don't want to lose and look stupid. So maybe that's it. But I just think it might be that she's tired. and she didn't want to. She's a little managing for tonight at the All Star game. All right, the All Star game is tonight. So we will see. But I think that while Alicia Gray gets a lot of money, got her stuff, $110,000 for winning. I just think that it's kind of unfortunate that we're looking at it like, congrats, Alicia, you won, but then we see Sabrina and Caitlin Clark didn't do it. So hopefully next summer when there's no Olympics, we can get that Sabrina Ionescu, Caitlin Clark showdown in the 3-point contest. And we could also maybe see if we could have some crossover with the NBA and get Steph Curry and Klay Thompson to do it this summer. Obviously, that can't happen because of the Olympics, but it's a very unfortunate that the Olympics has ruined a great marketing opportunity for both sides of the NBA. But uh, yeah, that could be the case. That once Sabrina said no, Kayla was like, "All right, then I don't have no reason to do it now." That could be RC.
But again, like, why, if Sabrina said no, wouldn't that have been her biggest, generally asking, wouldn't that have been her biggest competition?
Probably. Well, I mean,
Then I guess it could go both ways, where she wins and everyone's like, well, you wouldn't have won if Sabrina was shooting. So maybe it is a lose-lose situation for her.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. All right. So moving right along, top 4 teams in the W right now. You want me to start, or you want to go?
You got it.
All right. So my top two still isn't changing. I've got the Liberty, the Sun. I still think the Aces are coming now that Chelsea Gray is back in the mix. The Aces look good, so my top three really isn't changing. Obviously, the Liberty have been proving me right because they beat up on Morgan's Connecticut Sun these last couple of weeks that they played each other. So I think that the Liberty and the Sun are headed for another showdown to see who's going to represent in the championship. If the WNBA was doing it right, they will put the Connecticut Sun and New York Liberty as far away from each other as they can, so that way they can be in a championship and actually, like, hint, just saying, actually get like the game that they actually want, but that would kind of screw over the Aces. But we'll see. But I think that that's my top two. Obviously, the Aces. I mean, Chelsea Gray's back. They have their point guard back. Anytime, I mean, you speak of the big fours, Jackie Young, Chelsea Gray, Asia Wilson, Kelsey. I didn't even like. Every time I talk about them, I always forget to mention Kelsey Plum. Kelsey Plum, because she's flying under the radar with the other three being there. Like, but the Aces are the Aces. I think they've been undefeated since Chelsea Gray came back. And then I still have to put, even though the Dallas Wings and Enrique Agumbawale made her claim that people need to pay attention more to her, I still got to give it to my Minnesota Lynx because it's still a tie for me between the Lynx and the Storm, and RC agrees with me. It's still a tie. It's still a tie for me between the Storm and the Lynx, just because
I was gonna say, I don't really have a fourth. I'm like trying to think. I was like looking up stats right now. Like, I don't really have. I have the Aces, the Liberty, and the Sun, and then I don't know. I feel like there's a whole bunch that could kind of be considered that fourth spot.
It's still a tie for me between the Storm and the Lynx because I can't bet against Jewel Lloyd and Nafisa Collier. Like, that's why I am with it. I know RC Aces, Liberty, Sun, Storm, so he's right there with me. I don't know why he's not talking about the Lynx, man. The Lynx have been that team. I keep telling y'all gotta watch out for these Minnesota teams, baby. But he also got a comment about Chelsea Gray, but Kylan, oh boy, she doesn't look right anymore. She's moving slowly. I mean, this is what happens when you injure your leg. We saw it. You kind of got to adjust to it. We've seen it with Klay Thompson and other players who have injured their legs. So, but we'll see. He's mad. He's mad because Caleb McBride got eliminated. Okay, all right. I see you, RC. I see you. But what's yours?
No, mine are those top three, and I don't have a fourth. Like, I have the Aces, the Liberty, and the Sun, and I really don't have a fourth. I don't know who. I'm going through, and I think there's a whole bunch of them. I think there's the Lynx, the Storm, are probably the highest voted for my number three, but or my number four. But that's who I'd have to go with.
Okay. Well, that concludes the WNBA half of what we're talking about. Now we get to Morgan's favorite, these updates about football. Um, uh, um, but yeah, so Eddie Jackson uh, um, just signed with the Ravens, obviously, for a year. Yesterday afternoon. Um, So he signs 1 year deal. So Morgan, what's your reaction to this? I will be right back,
Yeah,
guys.
I again haven't gotten to do much like research on this. I was obviously not really looking into this. I've been doing a lot of football stuff for right now, but I the Ravens are doing a lot in this off season. I think they really want to win. I guess if that makes sense, and not that every team doesn't want to win, but I feel like they truly believe that they have been a contender for a ton of years, and for so long their defense was kind of, when they won their last Super Bowl, the defense carried them, and their defense hasn't been kind of what I guess they needed in a while. So signing a safety is a good thing, I guess. I mean, um I don't know how much good this will actually do, but I I think it's a good signing. Like I said, I don't really have a lot of opinions on this one. I am looking. I didn't have any notes on this. Full transparency. This was not on our original list, and so I didn't prep for this question. And I didn't even know this trade happened. Literally, just until Kylan just said that. That's a me thing again. I've been prepping for the Olympics.
Yeah.
But
Well, I got it. That's why we're teammates.
yeah. But I think for so long, the Ravens have been, like I said, Kylan, when you weren't here, the Ravens were a defensive powerhouse. That's when they won their last
Super Bowl.
Super Bowl, the defense carried them. And I think in the last few years, they've been such a contender, specifically on that offensive side. They've had really good players, but they haven't had a ton of defensive standouts.
Right.
And so I think signing a big name person, somebody that people know, a really good safety, kind of a sexy player, not meaning Eddie Jackson's a sexy player, like a safety is like that kind of sexy defensive positions, the safeties, the cornerbacks, the people who make those big game plays.
Morgan Sims over here, y'all.
I think that's good. And I don't know a ton about Eddie Jackson. I really don't. But I mean, I know he's been a multiple time Pro Bowler, but I think it's good for them. And I think that the more that they can beef up that defense, the more that they are going to obviously be able to contend, but they're going to kind of get back to that old, what we think of when we think of the Ravens.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that this is a great signing for them. Obviously, like you said, and like you just highlighted, right? They haven't really had any big time defensive stars on their line in a while. Not since Terrell Suggs in them and Ed Reed. The later half of Ed Reed was there. They obviously have the great cornerbacks and everything else. They've got great middle linebackers, but it's about time that they got a safety. And it's only for 1 year, so we don't know if Ed Hill's re-sign with them or not, but I think this is a good chance for him to win the Super Bowl. It's a better chance than re-signing with the Bears. And I think that he's in a great division to prove himself, right? Having to face Russell Wilson, having to face Joe Burrow. Who am I missing? Having to face who am I missing? Joe Burrow, AFC North. Who am I missing? Joe Burrow, Russell Wilson,
Lamar Jackson.
Well, I mean, he gets to see him at practice. Who's the third? Who's the third? What am I missing? Deshaun. Deshaun. He gets to see Deshaun. The one forgettable one of the three. You get Deshaun.
I try and forget about him.
You get Joe, and you get Russell Wilson. So he will get to prove if he still has it, right? I'm not saying that he doesn't, but obviously, if he still had it, he'd be with the Bears. But I think, he's looking at what's going on with the Bears and said, yeah, I'd rather be with a contender. So he will get a trial by fire, specifically facing Joe Burrow. Obviously seeing Lamar Jackson every day in practice, so we'll just take that one out because he'll never face him outside of practice now. But and he gets a trial by fire. So I think the Ravens, like you said, their defense has really been okay to good. I mean, they still had a top 3 defense, but it hasn't been like the dominating defense that both of us as millennials we grew up with, right?
That's what I'm saying. Like, you remember the last time they won the Super Bowl, it was all about the defense. I don't think that Joe Flacco.
That was the power. Yeah, that was the power outage Super Bowl. That's when Beyonce took the power out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Conspiracy theorists,
Yeah, that was the power outage Super Bowl, right? Yeah, that was.
Speaking of that Super Bowl, the other team, we're going to talk of the other team on that Super Bowl.
Right.
Did you like my transition there? It was a good transition.
I did. Yeah, I said power outage, and you went with it. I like it. I threw the lob, Blake Griffin, Morgan Blake.
I know. So, I'm sure you guys have been following the Brandon Ayuk kind of drama with the 49ers. Not even really drama, just kind of unhappiness, unwilling to negotiate a 5-year.
Can I just say, as the non-49ers fans, I tried to tell them. Didn't I try to tell them it would be over after that Super Bowl? I tried to tell them. Like, Morgan rolled her eyes, but I tried to tell y'all that it was over. Like, that Super Bowl was the last time. Then they re-up Christian McCaffrey and re-up the quarterback, but didn't re-up Brandon Ayuk, and just thought that the franchise tag would make him stay. And he said, "Screw all that. None of y'all not even gonna put the franchise tag on me. I'm requesting that I want to leave right now."
so I like Brandon Ayuk. I think he's fun. I think he's a little eccentric. And he's a damn good wide receiver.
Of the two of us, you met him, so I mean, I'll let you talk about him.
I mean, he's eccentric for sure, but what wide receiver isn't a little bit diva-ish coming right now? So Brandon Ayuk requested a trade from the San Francisco 49ers, and one of the potential landing spots, is my very own New York Giants. I think it's a perfect fit. I think he should come. I think we need a saucy wide receiver for Malik Neighbors to kind of look up to and learn from. Have Ayuk be our wide receiver 1. Have Neighbors be wide receiver 2, and just dice people up, cut them up on the field. Give Danny Dimes somewhere to go, somewhere to throw to. But I'm not biased. There's some other teams that are, I guess, betting favorites. The kind of the 4 other ones that people are talking about are the Lions, the Steelers, the Patriots, and the Commanders. Same kind of deal. The Commanders probably makes the most sense. They have a pretty high cap right now. Sorry.
That can't happen. That's too much firepower for a team.
I know. But they have some money to spend. They have some money. They have a quarterback on a rookie contract. They need somewhere for him to throw to. I think between him and Terry McLaurin, you had it right. That would be a crazy combo. I think Ayuk would be great in
DC.
Washington. They also I don't know if you know this, but they were at Arizona State. Jaden Daniels and him were at Arizona State together for a little while.
Okay.
So they they have a little bit of chemistry, which is interesting.
Now, do you think the 49ers will acquiesce, or do you think they'll wait to the end of the season and just franchise tag it?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like you might as well. Like, he's pretty much said he's not going to play for them this year. So I wonder if the 49ers feel that he's a big enough asset that they need to get something out of him, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. So
He's
he's willing to pay. I mean, we don't know yet because training camp doesn't
no,
start.
we don't know yet, but
So he's willing
from
to
what
pay the
it's
fine and all that.
it said so. The article that I read from NFL.com said that that they are open to considering potential trades.
Okay.
So, with looking to find a comparable replacement for him in 2025 to 2026 draft.
Yes. Yeah. So are you all right? So you want to hit the other two, or you pretty
Yeah.
much?
So I mean, the Patriots. I think they always can use a receiver. I think that they never really have receivers. They're kind of always in the conversation when big time receivers are up for grabs. They kind of tend to do that. They take receivers that have developed elsewhere. They come, they play there for a few years, and then they go somewhere else to die for the end of their career. The Steelers, I don't. It kind of, I think, for them depends on who they plan on starting. If they're going to do Russell Wilson or if they're going to do Justin Fields. I think obviously they're probably going to start with Russell Wilson and see how he goes. But
let Russ cook, baby.
He needs a little more help on the wide receiver end, whereas Justin Fields, he has the ability to run, which is a little bit different. So he needs a different kind of receiver. So I think that one's a little bit less likely just because they need to figure out what they're going to do with the quarterback position first. And then the Lions is a weird one for me because they don't need another receiver. They have Amon-Ra St. Brown. They have Jameson Williams. They have Sam Laporta, David Montgomery, Jamar Gibbs. Like, I don't really think they need to add somebody, but I guess why not? If he's up for grabs and they're like seemingly collecting wide receivers, why would you not?
Yeah, I mean, as long as it's not the Chiefs. Morgan knows who I always root for when it comes to players needing trades, but I don't know if the Eagles could swing that.
No, I don't. The Eagles don't have enough cap room right now. They don't. And they don't really need him. I mean,
Howie Roseman can make it work, but obviously, I don't. Obviously, that's just a fever dream for me because I mean, can you imagine AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, and Brandon Ayuk in the same receiving core?
But here's the thing: I don't know if Ayuk would want that. That's why I think that Ayuk is going to want to go somewhere like the Giants or the Commanders because he wants to go somewhere where he can be an immediate star. He can immediately be there. Wide receiver one, there's no questions.
Right. Go ahead. As you so eloquently put it, I totally agree. I'm just saying that for a fever dream. Look, man, I'm all for him getting traded anywhere that's not the NFC East. So I'm all for.
Yeah, well, good luck. It's looking pretty much like he's going to come to the NFC East.
I'm all for. I don't understand. Like, again, I continue to say this. You mentioned all these teams, but there's one team that needs to get a receiver. Even though I don't think this man is a top 5 quarterback because his talent, with all that talent, he hasn't done anything for them yet. And I know Morgan knows where I'm going with this.
No, I don't.
Why are the Buffalo Bills not in on Brandon Ayuk? How stupid are you? like how stupid are you?
That is true. I don't know why he's not. They're not talking more about him. That is true. That is very true.
How are you not in on this? Like, you just lost 2 of your main wide receivers. All of your main wide receivers right now are tight ends. Like, if it wasn't in Buffalo, if I told you that there's a star quarterback and the only thing that he has is good tight ends, you would think I'm talking about Ben Roethlisberger or Russell Wilson. But I'm talking about Josh Allen. Why Brandon Ayuk is available? I said the same thing with the 49ers last year when Lamar, she knows this, when Lamar was available and their stupid behinds weren't looking at him. Like, what are you doing? When you have a chance to get a sure enough talent, you go and do it. I know you have nothing valuable besides tight ends, but do it like the NBA does it. Trade some draft picks and some cash considerations because, I mean, again, I know Morgan has looked this up, right? Josh Allen only has 2-3 years left on his deal. So that 2027 draft pick is probably going to be a top draft pick for Buffalo. So trade them picks. Why? What is wrong with you, Buffalo? Like, go and get Brandon Ayuk. I'm not just saying this because I don't want to see Brandon Ayuk either in Washington or New York. I'm partially saying it because of that. But being objective here, You need a wide receiver for Josh Allen who can cross people up and get open. And Brandon Ayuk can do that. Like, he's more, if 49ers fans are objective, like, he was way more reliable than the wide receiver that they paid, which was Deebo Samuels. Like, Brandon Ayuk was literally that whole offense before Christian McCaffrey showed up, right? And then you had Christian McCaffrey and everything else. But I just need y'all. I need y'all to Buffalo. I need you to get into this. I don't know what you're doing. Maybe you're sleeping at the wheel like the 49ers were last year. But I need you to get in on this, man.
Yeah.
I think he needs to be in Buffalo. He needs to be in Buffalo.
All right, so
let's move right along to this. We can do this real quick. We'll skip this franchise tag one. What are the storylines heading into training camp next weekend, Morgan?
I think a lot of them are going to be centered around the quarterbacks, and a lot of these teams that have rookie quarterbacks with vets that are on there that are generically maybe backups. I think you're going to see that's what everyone's going to be talking about, especially with this super, super strong rookie class of quarterbacks, is are they going to start or not? I think you'll see it in Minnesota a ton. I think you'll see it in what I'm super interested in is in Arizona. Atlanta. That's what I was going to say. I'm super interested in Atlanta to see how they handle having both of them there, because I think a lot of people are there's a feeling that Cousins is going to go out there, is going to do Cousins stuff, and Cousins is great. Cousins has amazing plays. Cousins has super mediocre plays. Cousins has bad plays. And then they're going to see Penix warming up on the sidelines, throwing 75-yard bombs, and asking, why is that quarterback not in? And I think that that's going to be a story that's going to continue to develop over the course of the training camps. And so I'm interested to see that. Obviously, per usual, seeing these new running backs and their new teams is going to be a really interesting phenomenon. Seeing Saquon in Philly is going to be super interesting. I think people are going to be interested to see the dynamics of those kind of teams and see how they're gelling, things like that. Anytime there's a new coach, people are going to be super interested. I bet you the Chargers is going to be an interesting training camp, seeing how Harbaugh runs that. If he runs it more like a college practice, or if he runs it more, if he's completely has transitioned it to the NFL, we'll see that. But those are, I think, the big storylines that are going to come across. Obviously the biggest ones are going to be, who is that starting quarterback going to be week one? And we won't know, obviously, until after training camp is over, but we'll see how many. People will definitely be counting the what do you call it? The team one
preseason.
No, how many starting reps the guys get, how many backup reps he gets, how many third string reps he gets. So
yeah. So for those of you who don't know, right, this is training camp. For those people who are not sports reporters or big time football fans, this training camp really doesn't matter unless you really want to look at, as Morgan was talking about, getting into the weeds of, oh my God, JJ McCarthy took more reps with the ones than the veteran quarterback, whoever that is, behind him. Or, oh my God, they actually started, what's his name, from Washington with the ones, and Kirk Cousins was with the twos and the threes. What does that mean? This is PFT for the next 2 weeks, for those of you that don't know. So this is what that is. So along with Morgan, I agree with that. Atlanta's going to be interesting to see which quarterback they go with. But I think the main stories are going to be in Dallas, Philly, and San Fran, right? Are the Niners going to call Brandon Ayuk's bluff? Will he show up this week? Probably not, but will he show up this week? That's going to lead a lot of A blocks these next 4 days in sports reporting. Between CeeDee Lamb and the corpse of Dak Prescott, what's going to happen with the Cowboys? Seems like they're going to lose a quarterback and the wide receiver this upcoming season, because CeeDee Lamb is looking at all these wide receivers getting paid and trying to figure out why he hasn't got his money. So we're going to see that obviously in Philadelphia, right? What does it look like with Kellen Moore coming in, right? Does it look good? Obviously, as somebody that covers the team, you're going to see a lot of dumb Eagle stories these next 2 weeks. It's going to be like, does Jalen Hurts like Kellen Moore? They had an awkward handshake today. Does that mean Jalen's going to request a trade? They love Philly drama. They really do. like so you're going to see that. Is Kellen Moore the coach in waiting if it doesn't go right for Nick Sirianni? Is he going to knife him? Are we going to watch a red wedding? Like, that's what's going to happen. So those are the three for me. So moving right along. Right along. We have a lot of basketball that we're gonna leave alone. We're gonna leave WB alone. We can go real quick on this. WB has a chance to match Amazon's $1.9 billion C package. So those that don't know, it seems like NBC and Disney has the A package, NBC has the B package, Amazon has the C package, and it seems like WB will try to match that. To me, what's going to happen next is there's going to be a lawsuit. Amazon, because they have better lawyers and they're a company that's actually good, will win, and WB won't have anything. I think I've said that before. So, we're going to get right back to the Olympics of it all. Team USA beat Serbia. This is a game that Morgan probably got because she was in Indonesia and they were in Abu Dhabi. So it wasn't. I don't know what the geographic.
There was a lot of rugby being watched. There's a lot of Australians over in Indonesia, and there was a big rugby match happening. So that was the only sports that I watched the whole time I was over there. But I did see the highlights.
So Team USA beat Serbia, and obviously there was a struggle there for a minute, but Team USA got together. They're trying to figure out how to play with each other. It's what happens when you basically assemble an all-star team on the men's basketball side of this. So, that's what it is. Team USA won. Seems like Steve Kerr might listen to this podcast because I said last week that the ideal starting five, is Joel Embiid, Steph Curry, LeBron James, Anthony Edwards, and Jason Tatum. And what has he gone with the last few weeks? Some combination of that. He put Drew Holiday back in for this past game, and it didn't work. And then he inserted Anthony Edwards, and it all worked out. Anthony Edwards, Bam Adebayo, and Anthony Davis. But what I make of this is great. Those are the three best players in the NBA right now on the American side who are American citizens. And so I'm not ignoring for you Milwaukee Bucks fans and Denver Nuggets fans. I'm obviously not ignoring Giannis and the Joker. But those are the top five players: Steph, LeBron, Joel Embiid, KD. KD might be back today or Monday. So that's your ideal starting four right there.
Yeah.
Steph Curry, LeBron James, Joel Embiid, and KD. That's going to win you games. And then you just can add somebody at SG. It should be Anthony Edwards to me. But, I think there's been a lot of Joel Embiid slander. And I just want to say, he's getting to see what it's like to be Jason Tatum. Just show up, do some defensive stuff, look good, have the highest plus minus on the team, get some rebounds, toss the ball to Steph, LeBron, or KD, or Jason Tatum, and keep it moving. But I think that there will be a time where they will need Joel Embiid, and you will see why he's one of the best players in the league. Do you have anything to add on that one?
No, I think that's good. I think that the team seems to be gelling really well, which I actually think is fun. I've seen a lot. Again, I haven't been able to watch a lot. I've seen a lot of social media clips coming out. They're playing that Kendrick song over and over and over again.
I like it. Steph was I'm tired of that song.
I know you see that. Steph was like, "This isn't the only song in the U.S." and LeBron's like, "I like this song."
Steph Curry is a secret Drake fan.
I know. He's like,
I wanted to be like, Kendrick told you to keep the family away. But yeah. So that's good, man. That's good. So to the big story that I know Morgan wants to get to before we get off here. Brett McMurphy of the Action Network reports the Big Ten and the SEC are not looking to add Florida State to either conference. So what's your reaction to this, Morgan? I know we talked a little bit about this off air.
Yeah.
A few months ago when we addressed this, we said, who wants them? And it seems like we've got at least 2/3 of the answer. Nobody.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like, I feel for FSU a little bit because I just feel like they're really desperately trying to find a new conference and nobody wants them. They're like, no, we're good. We don't want you. We are fine. We don't want your drama. We don't need your money. Um, so it's interesting, and I think it's yeah, I feel for them, I guess, but like I mean, it's not surprising. Like the Big Ten and the SEC don't need Florida State. They don't need that drama. They don't need any of that stuff, which is I we've talked about this before, that we didn't think that FSU would be going to the SEC, because what reasoning would they have to want to put another huge contender like that? The other teams in there aren't going to want to play them, which I think is a big part of it. So
Yeah, I mean, like I said off air, I'll say it here. Like the SEC and the Big Ten are good, right? Like there's no value in adding Florida teams right now. There's nothing. Florida State doesn't really give you anything in football, indoor basketball. Obviously, like it would make sense for the Big Ten on the football side, but basketball wise, it's not like a brand. It's not a Syracuse. I keep telling people this. Like the brands that are in the ACC that people want is the Northeast West, the Syracuses, the Pittsburghs, the UN, obviously UNC's in the South, the UNC and the Dukes, right? Those are the basketball powerhouses, right? And they have good to okay football programs that would add to the brand. The Big Ten will want that. Like Syracuse and Pittsburgh make sense for the Big Ten. For the SEC, UNC and Duke might make sense, but like it does nothing for them. Obviously, UNC can't go anywhere without NC State, and that's the reason why UNC is holding all of this together, because NC State doesn't want to go, because rightfully so. What's NC State going to do in the SEC in the Big Ten football wise? So, I mean, basketball wise, as we saw this past tournament, they can string along victories for that. But like it's like I said to Morgan off air. Like football wise, the Big Ten and SEC will fawn over themselves for the University of Miami, right? They're not gonna fawn over themselves for Florida State and Clemson just because. Who cares? Clemson isn't good. Neither is FSU anymore in football. This past season, regardless, obviously FSU, I feel for them a little bit because they did get screwed once Jordan Travis went down, and they kind of were like, oh well, they don't have their man, so we can get rid of them. But I think Clemson might wind up in the SEC just because of the South Carolina of it all. But I just don't think that anybody wants either one of these schools, because I think they look at it as like, you're being disloyal, right? Like you're not a Syracuse, a Pittsburgh. You are an original founder of the ACC, and you're trying to dip. I think that's what Brett was saying, that like the Big Ten and the SEC don't look at it like both FSU and Clemson are being disloyal because they were founding members of the ACC. Like I said, it's not like the teams that just added, like the Pittsburgh or the Syracuse's a few years ago. Like these are two founding members of the ACC, and they're trying to be like, yeah, even though we signed the contract, this is what I said. I think I said this a few months ago, that this would be the thing, right? Because they're trying to leave without having a solid plan. I mean, there's a lot of things happening where people are trying to get things to happen and force their way on things. I'm specifically talking about the political world that isn't fact or anything based. They have no backup plan, and you're seeing it right now with FSU and Clemson. They have no backup plan, but they're still trying to sue. So we'll see what happens. But they're not going to the Big Ten and the SEC. So maybe they both would like to play the Big 12 in Colorado and Baylor. So moving right along. And this is stuff I can do.
I was gonna say this. I'm just gonna let you go, Kylan. Like you got this.
What should the Sixers do at backup power forward? So to me, I think that they should be trading for Dorian Finney-Smith, but obviously there's some things there with the contracts and everything, them being on within the first apron, so they really just need to do minimum contracts. So if that's not available, I think they need to look at Marcus Morris, a player who they are very familiar with, who is just here up until February of this year, before they traded him for Buddy Hield. And I also think I just wrote an article about this, last word on sports.com, power forward options at backup power forward for the Sixers. You can check out my in-depth thoughts. But I think Marcus Morris would be great for them. I also think that they can look at they got a Dembona. They have some options there. But ultimately, I think it'll end up being Marcus Morris. And if that doesn't work, then Marcus Morris or Robert Covington. And then if that doesn't work, trading for Dorian Finney-Smith. Or, as Brandon Scoop Jackson said, the Warriors are really worried that the Sixers, with their picks and everything, might get Lowry Markkinen. And I don't think that's going to happen just because that will send them over the second apron. But I love just thinking about Joel Embiid, Lowry Markkinen, Tyrese Maxey, and Paul George together in a lineup. So yeah. So um, the other big Sixers things that are happening, even though Joel Embiid is right now overseas, he's up for his next to last or probably last supermax of his career. So he can go the Jalen Brunson route and sign a 3-year, $192.9 million contract extension, or go for his full value next summer. What a tongue twister that is. At 5 years, $345.6 million. So look, I know Joel Embiid is a superstar player, and I know that it seems like from what Ramona Shelburne reported last night, that it seems like something will get done before the season is over, and he'll probably make $200 million in an extension. But I love Joel Embiid. I'm taking the reporter hat off. I think he's a great player. I think he's been great for Philadelphia. If I was him, I would take the full amount of money. I would take my full 5 years, $346 million. But I know he probably won't do that because he wants to maintain flexibility. He doesn't want the Sixers to go over the second apron. He wants them to be able to add more around him, Tyrese Maxey, and Paul George. So he'll probably just take $200 million. And like I said last week, Josh Harris and all his richness will be paying three players 800 between will be spending between $600 million for three players. And I just think that that's good for Joel Embiid. But if I was him, I would do the 5 years, $346 million. But knowing him, he'll probably do the 4 year, $250 million, because I think he's way more valuable. And this is no knock on him, than Jaylen Brown. And I think he deserves to make what Jaylen Brown makes, close to $300 million. I think that that's what it'll wind up being. I think Joel Embiid, because he's the star of the team, will get close to $300 million, and whatever this extension is. I don't know. He probably will give them back $45.6 million, which is a lot of money. And I know there are a lot of football playing families and football players listening to this and being like, so Joel Embiid's gonna give them $45.6 billion. Can he lend me some money? But like, yeah, I think the NBA players make stupid money, y'all. So newsflash here, especially the superstar players. So I think Joel Embiid will come up making close to $300 million. I think his next contract is going to make Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum really jealous. So I think he'll be making close to $330 million once it's all said and done and they do this extension. Because he's just that valuable. And I mean, he recruited Paul George, Tyrese Maxey has bought in. So I just think that he deserves a loyalty bonus. As we've seen these past few weeks, loyalty needs to be rewarded, and sometimes it's not rewarded. So, go get your money, Joel. All right. So the biggest news in the basketball was Russell Westbrook finally signed with the Denver Nuggets. Got traded from LA to the Jazz for some picks I've never been to Utah or LA, but I guess a corner store or bodega, whatever. Morgan, do you know what they call their corner stores, or what's it called? Do they have you don't know?
I would call it bodega, but I know that's a New York term. So
yeah, so in Philly, corner store, poppy store. They got traded for a hoagie. They got traded for picks of the hoagie. But I think that's a great get for Denver. They need another guard. They need a scorer. I don't think it'll. I said this last week, and I've said it Morgan knows the last few weeks, and Denver proved me right. This is what Denver is going to is doing since that championship. It's really Jamal Murray, Jokic, and Michael Porter Jr. and now Russell Westbrook. And if that doesn't hold them up, this is what they're going to do. So I think his impact is he gives them another ball handler, an occasional scorer, but he's not like the defensive stopper that they need. And I think that they're missing that defensive stopper and that veteran toughness. But he does bring toughness, and but what he lacks defensively is going to kill Denver this year. But I mean, it's a great get. They have somebody who can provide them scoring off the bench, which they so sorely need. So we'll see. I need to see the other corresponding moves, but I think this is a good move for Denver. I don't know if it's going to equal a championship or a finals appearance with the Oklahoma City Thunder getting better, Minnesota getting better. Like, I just think too much is happening around them, and I think that their window is closing fast.
Yeah, I think that's very astute reporting, Kylan.
Wow, thank you.
You're so welcome.
All right. So, for lack of a better thing, because we both have other things to do, I'll just go quickly with Summer League. Summer League is looking good. Jared McCain, Duke, speaking of Duke, Jared McCain, Adam Bona look great, look like bona fide players for the Sixers. Bronny James is finally strung together 2 good games. He's finally getting consistent with that jump shot. But all anybody really cares about, as far as this upcoming year is what Keon Anthony is going to do. I'm gonna give you all a little hint of what he's gonna do. This is no sourcing for me, but his dad went to Syracuse. He's going to Syracuse. Let me help y'all out. Let me help y'all out with what's going on with that.
Maybe.
I know Morgan thinks he might go to JMU, but I doubt it.
That's where I think he's gonna go.
But yeah, so I definitely think that. Oh, and the Sixers need to sign. Speaking of Syracuse, sign Judah Mintz right now to that 2-way contract. Moving right along.
The UConn players are doing amazing. All of them. They're all standouts.
Yes. Let me let you do that. So yes,
Klingon looks amazing. Castle's a star. Everybody in Memphis loves Cam Spencer. So we're doing well, and I think it's going to be a fun year for our UConn Huskies.
Can't wait till one finally wears that Sixers jersey, so I can say something nice about the Sixers.
No, doubtful.
All right, so to the shout out segment. You want to start or should I?
You can start.
All right, so I want to shout out Kevon Sullivan. Finally made his debut this week for the Philadelphia Union. 14 years old. I've talked about this man these last couple of weeks, but he finally made his debut for the Philadelphia Union. Kevon Sullivan, great job, man. 14 years old. Finally, was on the sideline, but finally got to get into a game. He didn't score a goal, but 5-1 victory over the Revolution, I believe, is New England's team for the Union. The Union have been okay this year. But shout out to Kevon Sullivan for that. Good job getting into a game at 14 years old. What's that, 9th grade? Going into 9th grade, right?
Yeah, if that.
That's
so crazy.
Yeah, and by the time he turns 18, we'll be playing for Manchester City for Premier League, a league that Morgan and I are. So this isn't a knock on them. It's just when you work, you get tired of the Premier League just because when you work for the main broadcast channel for it, it's kind of a lot. So I'll just leave it at that. I'm not gonna speak for Morgan. I'll just speak for myself. The Premier League is a lot if you actually have to work some of the games. Go ahead. So I'm trying to remember. Do I have any other shout outs? Oh, shout out to the Phillies and the National League for winning the All-Star Weekend. This is the most baseball I'm going to talk today. All-Star Weekend looked great. Can't wait for it to be in Philly in 2026. But great job to the National League, beating the AL. Shohei Ohtani, Bryce Harper, all of them did a really good job. Phillies had the most players, 8 players. So congrats. Great All-Star showing. New home run derby went good, but I think that they have some tweaks to make. But shout out to the MLB. Good All-Star game. I don't think I give the MLB enough credit. They do have a really good All-Star game.
My shout out is to all the NBC crew that has been working for the last 2 years to prepare for these Olympics in Paris. It is a crazy feat, and the Paris one's going to be insane. The opening ceremonies are going to be absolutely stunning, and those of you at home probably will never know how much went in broadcasting wise went into making that opening ceremony happen. But that's the point, is that we make it look easy, and these people have been working their tails off for 2 years, and I think it's going to pay off. So I'm excited to be a small part of it. But huge shout out to them. And shout out to all the USA athletes. goes.
Y'all deserve that automatic Emmy y'all gonna get come the winter.
Kick some butt over there, bring home some medals for us, yeah, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be a fun 2 weeks. The Summer Olympics are always so fun. I think they're most people's favorite Olympics, and just go and enjoy them. If you see something you like, I encourage you to share it. The more eyes on things is the goal this year. The goal is just to make everybody seeing the Olympics everywhere at all times. So get that Peacock subscription for 2 weeks, watch it, enjoy it, and huge shout out to everybody that's involved in making these next couple weeks run smoothly.
Amen. Amen. All right, so he's not him, she's not her, they aren't them. You want to start or should I?
Yeah, I don't really have, again, I haven't been watching the news in sports. I haven't really been doing a ton of watching and listening. So I don't really have any. I'm kind of trying to think. I've been trying to think about this during the show.
I mean, you've been honeymooning, so
Yeah, I have been not thinking about work. I'll tell you that. You go.
So that's all right.
You go first, and I'll think and see if I can come up with anything.
All right, so I'm gonna go. So my first he's not him is gonna be Sauce Gardner, just because he put out this week about the politics of it all. Obviously, for those of you that are inside or political, what the interest in politics, we had obviously they had the RNC, the DNC, Republican National Convention. For those of you non-journalists, RNC, just wrapped up obviously on Thursday. But he put out before all of that about like basically saying on his Twitter, and I think it's still up, about how he didn't really get because he's never voted, and I think he's 22, 23 years old. And he didn't get like why people were so mad whether you vote one way or another, because he was like, I've never voted, but I don't get like the tribalism / fandom over these candidates. And people were kind of looking at him weirdly because they're like, you're 23 years old, 22, 23, and you've never voted. And a lot of former football players, I've seen them retweeting it saying that, this is what happens when coaches make it seem like there's nothing more important than football. And, we don't really do anything outside of that, like kind of destroying the fact that these coaches basically say that they're trying to make people. And Morgan knows I hate this. I get coaches on this on here. If I had a coach right in front of me, I would say I hate the fact that you guys say you make men, you try to make real men, you try to make real women. Like what is that? Like what are you? You might as well just say the truth, like some of these football players said about Sauce's tweet. Like, this is what happens when all they tell you is football is king, or your sport of choice is king. And they make you go through this, go through that. You could be at the University of Cincinnati. I don't think it's a knock against the University of Cincinnati. Having never been there, I hear great things about it. I hear that their education is great. So I don't put that on the University of Cincinnati. I don't put that on his schooling. I put that on his parents, his coaching, the people around him. Because why are you 23 years old and never voted before if you don't have no reason to not vote? Again, I'm going to get on my soapbox here. We got 4 months until an election. Y'all need to get educated. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for, but I'm going to use Sauce Gardner as an example. Get educated. There's way too many of y'all like him with money, whether you got money or not, who never voted. You all say the same stupid stuff, like all these parties are the same, even though we got one trying to ban books, talking about fascism and other things, and y'all talk about their birds of a feather flock together, and I'm just trying to figure out where y'all are on this stuff. So I'm going to use Sauce Gardner as an example. Get educated on both of these candidates, because you only really have two choices. Get educated on these candidates, and don't end up like Sauce Gardner tweeting some stupidity to ultimately wind up here getting educated by your peers in football and getting educated by me, a journalist trying to tell y'all, why are you 23? Some of y'all are worse than him. Some of y'all have been living on this earth and in this country for 40, 50, 70, 80, 90 years and never voted in your life. But you pay taxes and talking about, I hear this a lot. I don't want to contribute to a system that don't benefit me, but you pay taxes. So it's one, stop being hypocritical. It's one or the other. Like, if you don't vote, but you pay taxes, Like, but and you're saying that you don't want to support a system that doesn't benefit you, but you pay taxes. You're already supporting the system that doesn't benefit you. So what are you talking about? Like,
Yeah.
please get, please educate. I'm still alive from a Twitter from somebody on Twitter. I think um consciously on Twitter. Like, education over elevation. Education is elevation. Please get educated and don't end up like Sauce Gardner. Me talking about he's not him because he's 23. Doesn't. I'm not saying you got to be a political junkie. I'm just saying get educated and vote, and don't be out here saying like some of you say. I don't support the system. You say something else, but I'm going to clean it up for this podcast. I don't support the system that doesn't benefit me, but you pay taxes. Like, it's
Fair
one or
enough.
the
I think
it's
that's
one or
good.
the other. It's one or the other, right? And I think that's it. Like,
That's
I
it.
that's it for me. What you got?
No, that's it. I'm good. I gotta wrap up. I gotta go. My in-laws are having people over today, so I'm running to the grocery store. Thank you, RC. It was a perfect weekend. When I get my pictures back, I will share some of them with you guys. Some of them are up right now on my Instagram. If you want to go check that out, there's pictures of the wedding, of our honeymoon. It's Morgan.Bedard now, still a different Instagram handle. Thank you guys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We will be back next week, probably Tuesday or Wednesday in the evening after my Olympic shift and before Kylan gets to go away and celebrate his birthday. So
Friday.
we'll see you guys later.
All
Peace
right,
out.
deuces.